Walkaway spokesperson and political commentator Natalie Beisner, along with talk radio host and Seattle Red.com creator Jason Rance. Welcome to you both. Natalie, to you first. Vice President J.D. Vance said this on Fox and Friends about the common sense topic. Watch.
This is such a weird, mistaken placement of priorities. We need to make our country stronger. We need to create jobs. We need to make our streets safer. What is it about congressional Democrats that get more angry at deporting violent gang members than they do at the victims of those violent gang members? I don't even understand where they're coming from.
I mean, that's the whole thing, is you were on that side at one point in time. Where are they coming from, Natalie?
I think they're just coming from chaos and performative moral outrage. It's interesting because they created this problem. So if you hadn't let all these people in, you wouldn't have to be sitting here worried about are we sending them out with due process. And it's interesting that they don't want to vet anyone coming in, but then they want to make sure that we vet them all before they exit. You know, they seem to be America last all the time. Democrats, we saw it when they didn't stand for Lake and Riley's family. And as far as I'm concerned, I know everyone's upset over the economy and has all their opinions, but no matter what happens with the economy, Donald Trump's second term is a success because of what he's already done with the border, and it needs to be done. We need to put Americans first.
Yeah, and the border, for all intents and purposes, is shut down. They said, oh, you got to have a law to do that. Didn't have a law. The border's been shut down. A lot of people are kind of embarrassed about that. The media meltdown over the tariffs, by the way, Jason Rance, goes on, but The View probably takes the cake. As always, watch.
He knows nothing about the economy. He knows nothing about history. He just decides, as a narcissistic disorder would, I know better than anybody.
You're not getting the first-term Trump economy.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't like what he's doing. This higgly-piggly way of doing stuff is just not working.
I love Behar saying he knows nothing about the economy. I mean, his bank account would suggest otherwise, Jason.
Yeah, these are people who haven't done their own shopping or driven their own car for years, and so I really wouldn't go to them for any kind of explanation about what the average person sees coming from this president and the plan ahead for the economy. I'm not going to pretend that I love every aspect of tariffs. I don't. I like some, I don't like others. But they are rooting for failure, whereas the rest of us are rooting for success. They want the failure so they can go back on television and start claiming how they were right this entire time and Trump doesn't know what it is he's talking about. The same people, by the way, who kissed his backside for years up until he came out as a Republican. So I'm just going to sit here hoping for the best, hoping that we mitigate any risks. And I trust this president and this administration to move forward with this economy. And I know that they'll course correct if it turns out they're not going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, listen, even a broken clock is right, twice a day. The whole thing is, Natalie, and you know this, if they keep saying he's wrong, at some point, someday he's going to be wrong. Meantime, this is a former Biden-Harris staffer who says that she feels lied to by the former administration. Watch.
Ashley, do you feel lied to?
I do. I hadn't been around the president before that debate, and I worked for Joe Biden. And if the people around him knew that he was not capable, it is unacceptable to me that they allowed him to go onto that stage. I deserve better as a voter, not even as a Democrat, as a voter and as an American. I do.
Well, they lied about a lot of things, but that was a big one.
Yeah, but I find this shocking but not surprising what she said, because she said I wasn't around Biden before the debate. Well, neither was I. I've never been around Biden.
Right.
Yet I knew, and you knew, and we all knew, and we didn't need anyone to tell us. And in fact, we tried to tell them, So either she's lying here to save face, like so many, or she's in earnest and genuinely was surprised after that debate. But either, if it's the latter, if she was genuinely surprised, I want to know, why are the experts, the insiders, they never know anything. It's the same thing with COVID. How many people who supported the lockdowns and the disastrous response to COVID have changed their tune and said, oh, well, we're doing the best we could with the information that we had at the time. And yet I had the information they had, and I knew, we all knew. And so why do the experts not know what the American people know ever?
Which is why when they keep seeing the tariffs are the end of the world, it's going to be the end of the world. I go back to COVID, I go back to the laptop, I go back to everything. You're like, They have no idea what they're talking about. None whatsoever. Finally, Jason, the Washington Post, Fox News writes this Washington Post article hyping anti-Doge protesters in deep red state omit crucial details. Goes on to say, despite framing the story as amplifying criticism from Republicans and independents, every protester quoted in the story with a first and last name has donated to Democrats, which the article does not point out. It's not what they put in, it's what they omit from the stories.
Yeah, you do just a little bit of investigation, and it's pretty clear that these are protesters that are part of national organizations that have local chapters. They're the ones who are organizing this. All I had to do was basically what you guys did, which was Google a couple of the names of the people who have been quoted in various newspaper articles locally, and it goes back to groups like Indivisible and some others. But of course, they're just labeled as protesters. No one says that they're activists within these bigger groups, and this is all contrived.
Yeah. Jason, Natalie, thank you both.